In the eternal words of Pat Benatar, love is a battlefield. And dating apps like Tinder and Grindr are the trenches where singles are getting mustard gassed. Modern love is hard enough, but imagine the unique challenges facing Muslim women living in Trump's America, especially if they come from cultures where traditionally a suitable husband was just a visit to the matchmaker away. Over the past few years, there has been a flurry of apps targeting young Muslims looking for dating and romance. But for the most part, they have been designed by men, continuing a tradition of denying women full agency over their own love lives. Enter Eshq, an app that aims to put women in the driver's seat. To tell us more, we welcome the app's creator, Mariam Bahawdory, to the show.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you yourself are Afghani-American, is
Yes,
that right?
first generation born.
So tell me, a generation or two ago in Afghanistan, how might a couple have met and gotten married?
It was literally the families knew of a single guy or a girl, and the families would just talk to me like, hey, I have this individual. He's getting his medical degree. I think it would be a good match for your daughter. The families would talk, and that's about it. Basically, they would just get together through an arranged marriage.
Is that how your parents met?
Yeah, so it was arranged. They had opportunities to see each other, but they had obviously a chaperone with them, but it was an arranged marriage as well. But it turned into love.
And so tell me a little bit about the inspiration for your app.
So I noticed growing up, I was always taught, just like other Muslims, we're always taught not to talk to or engage with the opposite sex our whole lives. My culture tells me not to date, but then Western societies tell me, well, that's how are you supposed to get to know someone to get married? And when I would tell my friends about the whole concept of arranged marriages or that I have to marry a Muslim or someone in my culture, they just didn't understand it. They didn't get it. And then after college and a little bit after that as well, when I got into my mid-20s, I noticed there were dating apps, there were dating websites for our matrimony websites actually for Muslims, but there was a gap where it was majority men on them and advertisements were just women. Women with makeup caked on them, women with hijabs and makeup caked on them. It was all representation of a stereotypical Muslim, not now a Muslim here in the West or in European millennial Muslims, basically. So I noticed the applications that were already out there targeting millennial Muslims were, as you mentioned, built by men for men. I noticed that women were being misrepresented, and again, with the advertising, the types of women that they were showing. I just went out there to go talk and see like women that have engaged in these applications and their experiences, and one of the biggest things I heard from them was that they would get bombarded by awkward icebreakers, and men didn't really know how to make the first move, and the conversation was horrible.
That's not a Muslim-only problem, just so you know.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like
No,
any
it's
dating
general.
app.
Yeah, so in general. So it was like, but then again, we're taught our whole lives don't talk to the opposite sex, and now all of a sudden we're like, hey, there's a Muslim dating app, so it's okay, go for it. When we just put you in there in a pool of people, you're supposed to swipe, match, and know what to do. So I was like, you know what, let's change it up a bit, and let's challenge the patriarchy. Let's give women the ability to make the first move and take charge. So we actually want to test this out back in 2016. I'm like, okay, would Muslim women actually make the first move? Because dating was already taboo in our culture and in our religion. The word doesn't even exist in our vocabulary, so it's something we didn't even know what it was. So we tested it out. We put a beta out there in the New York City area, in the tri-state area. We're like, let's see what people do. And it was amazing. Women, I was getting doctors, engineers, nurses, entrepreneurs, women that were downloading the app, putting amazing pictures up and putting great bios up. And my theory was, if women make the first move, then men obviously will work harder on their profiles, put better pictures, not the mirror selfie that you're always seeing, or lifting up their shirts and showing their abs.
Posing with a drug tiger. That was very popular
yeah,
for a while.
exactly. So, you know, I was like, oh, so on our app, I bet you men are going to like do amazing on their profiles. Nope, same thing. Same thing in terms of the selfies and taking pictures with sunglasses in groups or taking pictures that didn't even show their face. In their bio, they would put like nothing. They would be like, I love me and I love biryani, or which is like a rice dish in our culture. And it just wasn't enough information.
Swipe on that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, man, you listen to that. So it was just like, okay, my women, like users, are really putting effort, and their intention is to meet a quality guy, but the guys are still not trying. So for them, it was just like another app that they downloaded to just see what's out there. And I can't tell you how many Muslim men I've met where you'll have Tinder, and then you'll have our competitors on their app as well. So other like Minder or Muzzmatch. So it's like, okay, is Tinder like your weekend app, and then Minder and Muzzmatch is like when you're ready to, settle down.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And do you think that is the same for Muslim women as well? Like, are Muslim women as inclined to use Tinder as perhaps Muslim men are? Or
I think Muslim women are more reluctant to use any dating app. There's a lot of stigmas attached to anything that a woman can do. There's a lot of, in terms of the gender norms within our culture, there's a lot that men can do and women cannot. And there's a reputation that we have to uphold. So if a woman goes out there and dates, she'll be labeled as someone that might be, I want to say, a hoe or promiscuous, or, it look bad on the family name because why is this girl constantly going out there to date? But if the guy goes out there to date, the excuse is, okay, he needs experience or he's allowed to do that. And in our religion, it's okay if a guy kind of steps outside of the religion, but then that's under the assumption that the counterpart will convert into Islam. So
I see. What do you think most Muslim parents would think of their children using dating apps of any kind?
So I don't think they would be happy about it because it does steer away from the traditional norms of arranged marriages or keeping within the culture. But I'm hoping that by building a platform, it comes from a Muslim woman. And what we're doing is bringing in a similar community that they would be more open to it. And I feel like parents that have that had children during the 80s and 90s have kind of like have become more open-minded to the fact that we might need to leverage technology to meet each other now. Because I'm 31, which to some people it's like, okay, you're 31 and you're a woman. Like, what's wrong with you? Is there something wrong with you? No, there's nothing wrong with me. Maybe from the second I graduated college, I had ambition and I had other things I wanted to do rather than just settle down and get married and rely on the guy to take care of me.
So you said you're 31, which I know, I was reading one thing about a Pakistani matchmaking service, and there was a binder of doctors and then a binder of overaged, which was any woman over 30, which is crazy, especially in New York. But tell me a little bit about, like, were your parents encouraging you towards a more arranged or like a semi-arranged situation?
My dad, he's more of a open-minded, progressive Muslim man, which isn't really typical from an older man who's almost in his 70s, who is in his 70s right now. So he's not pushing it on me, but he's like, I'm 31 and I'm going this entrepreneurial route, which already scares him because my siblings, one's a pilot, a doctor, one has her PhD, MBA, and here's Mariam he keeps telling people I'm building an app to find people's destiny. He doesn't really know to explain to our family.
That's a good tagline, I think. You should use that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, thanks, Dad.
We're also talking about Muslim culture as if it's monolithic, and Islam is like the second biggest religion in the world. And in America, we're talking about a Muslim community that spans different continents. So I'm curious about what are the challenges with that in creating a Muslim dating app that caters to people from different heritages, different cultures, different nationalities? Yeah,
so Muslims are very dynamic, and I hate describing it as someone as more liberal or conservative. I feel like that's a subjective matter. Because what describes or what is a definition of a liberal Muslim in terms of a conservative Muslim? Some of us, like right now, I am a Muslim woman, but I don't physically look like a Muslim woman. You don't see me wearing the head cover. I don't necessarily practice Islam. I don't pray 5 times a day, but I still identify as a Muslim woman. I'm hoping that the app, it's bringing together a community, so it sets the stage in terms of you're not just joining a general dating app, you're joining a dating app that's bringing other Muslims together that might have the same intention as you. So it's easier to launch something like this here in the U.S. when you have a mix of Western cultural norms mixed with your culture as well, and you're not alone. There's a high population of Muslims here in New York, the Bay Area, Michigan, Detroit having one of the highest Muslim population, especially of millennial Muslims.
And what does Eshq mean?
So Eshq means love, and it's not really the cliche love. The real word is Ishq. We just put a Persian twang to it, so it's Eshq. And it means love, but we want it to mean something. We want you to use your own definition. So it could be self-love, to have enough self-love and confidence, especially in a woman, to make the move and to take control of your narrative. Or it could mean find someone that shares the same love for something that you do. The whole point of the app is to put as much information as possible to actually get to know someone that has something in common with you.
Is there an option for women seeking women or men seeking men?
So that's one of the questions we get a lot. We have been getting a lot of emails from people that are asking, because right now we're trying to hype up the fact that we are launching soon. And from our 2016 launch, we've gotten a lot of feedback in terms of what to add, what not to add. And one of the biggest things is, are we open to the LGBT community? And I've gotten emails of stories of men and women that ask me if it's available, and they actually let me know what they're going through. It's as if I feel like I'm their therapist, and I try to I email them back and assure them hey, this is a platform that is open. I mentioned Muslims are dynamic. Our religion is based on more of a heteronormative belief system. So the traditional definition of marriage is a man and a woman. But gay Muslims do exist. That is another gap that is out there, and there's a lot of people that are in denial about that. There's a lot of people that, in their opinion, you cannot be Muslim and gay. On our platform, there is not necessarily a button that you can press that says hey, I'm a gay Muslim, so only show me other, or you cannot click on same sex. But we have a dating version, and then with a click of a button, it turns into friends, which is like same sex. So a woman can look through same sex women, but it's not necessarily for to get in a relationship, but it's more for friends. So you could technically look at same sex, but it would be the intent is for friendship, and we just tell you guys to let your messages or conversations kind of steer it from there. So we are open to the LGBT community. It is not necessarily there's no feature that necessarily says that it is for same sex.
Is that a direction that you might move into in the future?
So that's something we're actually looking into, because I don't want to necessarily just put a button that allows you to see same sex in the dating version without more privacy and security settings. That will cause a lot of issues in terms of maybe even increased harassment. People putting themselves out there, it's a very big deal. It's a big deal in general to come out, but to be a Muslim and feel empowered enough to come out as a gay Muslim, it's a big deal. So we want to make sure that I kind of want to have more focus groups, do a little more research on my own and with my team in terms of that specific niche and demographic before we actually allow that to be on the platform, to just make sure that we have the right privacy settings for them, the right security settings, and to prevent any type of bullying or harassment that might come out of it.
I'm curious about if you have any success stories, and I know that Eshq hasn't officially launched, but you did do a beta test.
Yes.
Can you tell me if anyone has found love on your
Yes,
app?
actually, and surprisingly, I do have one success story that came out of the beta. And our intentions were we did not think at all when we launched the beta that we would get any success stories.
It was just for functionality,
yeah,
right?
I was like, let's test it out. Let's see how it is. Let's see what people thought. And I actually have a success story. Literally 3 days ago, I got the wedding invitation from them, locals of New Jersey. And they met. It was great. And they're both Muslim. One is, the man is Pakistani, the girl is Syrian. And they met on the app, started a conversation. They didn't live too far from each other. They met, and now I believe it's been 1.5 years that they've been together, almost a year that they've been engaged, and that's it.
So the app officially launches this week?
It's actually going to launch right after Valentine's Day.
Great. So people can download it, all the places they download apps.
Yes, so we're going to, it's only available on iTunes for now, and we're going to launch in New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C.
Mariam, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.